Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the third module is regarding the JavaScript and the PHP. Okay. So can you tell me what is JavaScript and what is the PHP? So in the earlier of this subject itself, I told you that you are going to discuss the different platforms over here in within the same subject. So my question to you people is, so what is JavaScript and what is PHP, or else why do you require it here? See, whatever we have discussed so far, so it is with respect to the HTML elements and the styles that you can apply for the HTML pages, right? So we have seen that how best we can put the content with along with the styles on the web pages, right? So is that only the way how you can build the web page? So if you do so, if you are able to use only the HTML elements and the CSS in your web pages, probably you are going to create the static web pages over there. So I told you what is a static web page, isn't it? So the page which cannot be interacted by the users, rather the users will be able to only read the content from the web pages over there, right? So that is meant to be an static web page which is done using the HTML elements along with the styles as well, of course, by using the CSS. Okay, so just tell me, how does this JavaScript or the PHP is going to help you out to make it as a dynamic web page, or else what is the role of the using the JavaScript or the PHP in your HTML coding?
And both of these are scripting languages.
Scripting in the sense, of course, it has been written in the title itself as a JavaScript client-side scripting, right? So I do agree that these two are the scripting languages. So what actually the scripting means over here?
Ma'am, JavaScript works as a functionality, ma'am.
Functionality for what?
It automates
Ma'am,
tasks.
if I hit any button on the website, it will redirect to that page, ma'am. So that functionality works as a JavaScript.
Okay, so basically I say that it is going to make the interactive web pages, isn't it?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can anyone tell me what is the difference between then the JavaScript and the PHP?
JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, and PHP is a server-side one.
Okay, JavaScript is a client-side scripting language and PHP is a server. Exactly correct. Okay. See, many while seeing your assignments, many of you have used this. Correct. So now why you people are not able to elaborate it? Already have used these things in your assignments. Correct. Okay. So whatever just I got the answers, they are exactly correct. These two are the scripting languages where you will be able to write a code which is going to perform some operation on the data given by the user side through the HTML pages. Okay. So in that case, you are going to take the input from the user. You need to process that data, and in turn some acknowledgement has to be given to the user, which is said to be as the interactive web pages over there, right? So in that case, it is going to give you the two platforms in order to write a code for processing the data. The two platforms are the JavaScript and the PHP. And now, what is the difference between the JavaScript and the PHP? So as one of you told that JavaScript is a client-side scripting, whereas the PHP is a server-side scripting. And so what does it means again over here? So if you say it as a client-side scripting, so how does it is going to make difference in the execution? Can anyone tell me? If you say it as a client-side scripting, how does it is going to make the difference in the execution? See, whenever you give the input, the processing or the execution of the processing of data is done in the browser itself. Client in the sense not within your system. In turn, it is going to process the data within the browser itself. So the JavaScript is going to be invoked by the browser itself, where you are going to execute the data and you are going to give the response back through the browser only. If you say it as a PHP or the server side scripting, the data whatever is given by the user is going to be sent to the server, and the server is going to perform the operation. Server is going to execute some function on it, and after performing the operation it is going to send back the data over there. Okay, so since you know the meaning of the client side scripting and the server side scripting, I just want to ask you a simple question, because you people are going to be a web developer within 2 years, isn't it? So in that case, just tell me how you are going to decide that whether you have to go for the JavaScript or whether you have to go for the PHP, or in general, if I ask you whether you have to go for the client side scripting or whether you have to go for the server side scripting, how you are going to make that decision?
Ma'am, JavaScript and PHP both are object oriented, ma'am. So this is the most easy.
Yeah, and both are the object oriented. I do agree. But my question to you is how you are going. You cannot write the same program for say two platforms for the same program, right? So suppose if you have some operations to be done on the form filled by the user, right? So in that case, you cannot write the program same program by using both these two platforms, isn't it? So in that case, just tell me how you are able to decide that whether you need to go for the Java side scripting or the server side scripting. Okay. So once we proceed with the contents, you will get to know that how you need to decide. So basically, the simple agenda over here is whenever you have the very small amount of data to be processed, in that case, you can go for writing the JavaScript. Whether if you have the more number of the data to be processed, so which is going to be much time consuming. In that case, you can go for writing the server side scripting. Okay, so let's discuss what is the JavaScript here. And JavaScript runs right inside the browser. So because it is a client side scripting, usually it gets executed inside the browser itself. And JavaScript is a dynamically typed. JavaScript is object oriented in that almost everything in the language is an object. Okay, so the objects in the JavaScript are prototype based rather than the class based. Since you say it as a object oriented programming, it doesn't mean that the all the objects in the Java are the class based. So it shares the syntactical features from the PHP, Java, or C Sharp. For it, it is a quite different from those languages over there. Okay, so that means you cannot say that it is completely going to stick to the class based and the object. So it is going to share the some of the features from the PHP, Java, or the C Sharp as well. Okay. So what is meant by the client-side scripting? Repeatedly, I told you that the JavaScript is a client-side scripting. So how does it is going to work? So whenever you use the any website, whenever you run the any mm, web page, and whenever you fill the data, how does it is going to work? So though it is not going to make any sense to the user is not going to get to know that whether it is running in the browser itself or whether the data has been sent to the server or not. So user is only meant to be giving the input and getting the acknowledged, but you as a developer is going to take care that the how it is going to be interacted, how the execution of the programs from the HTML is going to be executed. So this diagram tells you that how does the client scripting is going to work, right? So though it is going to be very simple over here is you need to remember the steps, because as a theory question you might be asked regarding explain this client side scripting with an figure. Okay. So as a first step, here just imagine that you are requesting for the any HTML page. Here they have taken it as an example of vacation.html. So be it be any HTML page that you are requesting through the browser. So once you type it as like www.google.com, that is nothing but the requesting for the HTML page. Right. So once you request the HTML page, the next step is the request is sent to the server itself. Through the server only you are going to get that HTML page to your system or on your browser, right? So as a response after requesting, you can see that in the step 2 you are getting the HTML page here to the your system. So once you get that, you are going to fill the data, or you are going to read something, you are going to put some data into that web page if it is required over there. So in that case, what happens once you click on the submit button, or once you click on the any responsive button on that HTML page, it is going to be executed in the browser itself. It is not going to send that data back to the server. Instead, it is going to execute in the browser itself. You can see here as a step 3, execute the any JavaScript as required in the browser itself. So that is said to be as the Java scripting, which is said to be as the client side scripting, where you will be able to execute in the browser itself without sending that data back to the server here. So once the execution is done, so browser it is going to be displayed. The whatever the result that is going to be given by that execution will be displayed on the browser. So that is said to be as the client side scripting here. So one thing you can see here, once you get the HTML, after that you are not interacting anything to the server. You are handling everything in the browser itself, right from the execution of the or the processing of the data and getting the acknowledgement back on your system. So this method of scripting is said to be as the client side scripting here. Okay. So then what is the advantages? What are the advantages of this client side scripting here? Okay, so what can be the advantage, you tell me? The most important advantage over here is when you can go for this way of the execution. Can anyone tell me? At least you understood what is the client side scripting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just tell me what may be the advantage of doing this. What may be the advantage? You don't find any advantages. So the first very advantage is processing can be offloaded from the server to the client machines, thereby reducing the load on the server. Yes or no? Suppose if we have the some amount of data which can be processed in the browser itself, which can be processed in the client side itself, so you are going to reduce that amount of the workload in the server, isn't it? So by doing this, one more advantage is whether the responsive time is more or less. Responsive time in the sense whenever the user is going to give some input, so the response means the acknowledgement what the user is going to get. So the time taken between the input and the response, is it going to be more or less if you do it as a client side scripting? Is it less or more?
Yes, ma'am.
Less, right? So sending the data to the server and waiting for the acknowledgement from the server might take little bit more time as compared to doing it in the client side itself. So you might not find it in a difference in much amount of the time. It may be difference only in the terms of the microseconds over there, right? So obviously when you are going to write the or use the client side scripting, the responsive time is going to be much lesser as compared to the server side scripting. So that is what is given in this second point over here. So you can see here the browser can respond more rapidly to the user events than a request to a remote server could, which improves the user experience, isn't it? So so whenever you feel that some amount of the data which can be processed here in the client side itself, go for using the Java side scripting only. Okay. So JavaScript can interact with the downloaded HTML in a way that the server cannot, creating the user experience more like desktop software than a simple HTML ever could. Right. So even the experience of using the client side scripting by the user is going to be more easy as compared to the server side. So that is because you are going to interact everything in the browser itself, where you will be able to process the data very fast as compared to the server side scripting here. Okay, so now these are the few advantages over here. Okay, so can you get to know that is there any disadvantages by using the client side scripting? Is there any disadvantages? Are there any disadvantages? Are there
No,
any
ma'am. No,
eh?
ma'am.
No disadvantages at all?
I haven't observed, ma'am.
You haven't observed. Why you haven't observed? I think the Raju is responding here, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you haven't observed? Just tell me. Where you have used this? You might have used in your system. You might have worked with few projects where you have executed your projects in your system itself. Have you tried it to be deploying it in the some server and asked the some other different varsity of the users to use your projects? Have you tried it on over that?
I have used JavaScript in my website, ma'am.
You have used, that's what I'm asking you, Raju. So whatever the project, just mute yourself. The voice is echoing back to me. Okay. See, whenever you are developed any work, so you might have used it in your website. Have you asked the different kind of users to use it? Have you deployed it in the different kinds of the systems with the different configurations?
No, ma'am.
Then that's the biggest reason why you haven't why you have not yet experienced any problem in using the JavaScript. Okay. See, being a web developer, see, always do imagine that whatever the web applications that you are going to develop is not only used by the technical persons who, or else is not used by the users who are using only the high end systems or the systems with a very high configurations over there. Why? Because I'll tell you, see, whatever the web pages that you are going to develop, you might be having a habit of using the latest versions of the HTML elements and the latest versions of the CSS and even the latest versions of the JavaScripting language over there, right? See, always do imagine or do keep in mind that the worst part also exists over there. That in the case, the users who are going to use your projects might not have the systems with the high configurations, might not have the systems with the latest versions of the browsers or the latest versions of the operating system. So in that case, it's your duty as a web developer that how you are going to take care of the such scenarios. Okay. So that is going to lead to the disadvantages of the client side scripting here. So that is the first point you can get over here. There is no guarantee that the client has the JavaScript enabled. So you can never get to know that the whether the client or the user who is going to use your web page is having the client enabled in his system or not. Okay. So another thing is the different browsers and the operating systems make it difficult to test for the all potential client configurations, right? So that's what I told you. See, there may be a case that the some of the users who are very new to the technology might use the very old versions of the browsers. So in that case, you cannot say that the whatever the web page that you have developed with the latest versions of the JavaScript or the other HTML elements. So you might not guarantee that the those things are going to work exactly the way how you have done it in the systems where they do not have the proper configurations, even with the operating systems as well. Right. So and last thing is the JavaScript with the heavy web applications can be complicated to the debug and maintain. Is it? So what you are getting what I'm trying to say you, right? So these are the few disadvantages by using the client-side scripting, isn't it? So when you say that you are using the client-side scripting, you are purely meant that the program what you have written as a client-side scripting has to work in the user browsers itself. The users who are going to use your websites, the execution of these client-side scripting has to be done in those browsers itself. But you don't know the which kinds of users are going to use your websites and whether they have the proper configurations to run this JavaScript or not, right? So if you do that these things or the processing of these data in the server side, probably at the server side you might be having the all the configurations which is decided by you as a programmer over there, right? So this is one of the disadvantage if you use it as a client side scripting, isn't it? So did you get to know, are you able to follow here?
And there is another one disadvantage.
Which one?
Security issues, man. Because
Yeah, security issues is with respect to the data filled by the user, right? So that can be handled just by you as a programmer, that which kind of the data can be processed at the client side, even if the data has been loaded or it had been copied as a part of the cookies in the browser, right? So even if you feel that if the data is even been copied, that is not going to harm to the data. In such cases, you can go for using the client side scripting. Yes, or else you can even set the cookies in such a way that it is going to ask before running the client side scripting whether you want to allow the cookies to be enabled or not. Okay. Any other, at least you understood what are the advantages and the disadvantage and what is the client side scripting. Okay, so repeatedly I'll tell you that if you want to be a very good web developer, make sure that the whatever the website that you are developing, first make a document of the what are the diverse set of the users those who are going to use your website. So once you get to know that which are the different kinds of the users and what is the knowledge of the each set of the users about the technology. So keeping this thing in mind, make sure that whatever the website that you are developing needs to be easily handled by the all set of the users, including the person who is not at all using the system even for a single time. So that is always a good sign of the web developer. Okay. So for that, heavy testing is required, so that you are going to experience once you start working in the industry. So at least by this, yeah, you people are clear about what is a client-side scripting and what are the advantages and the disadvantages here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, how does the JavaScript is going to work? So what are the different things that are going to help for the execution of the JavaScript here? Okay, so the three things are going to help out here: the browser plugins, Flash, and the Java applets. Okay, so can anyone tell me what these are, or else how does they are going to help out here? So you can see how the figure over here. So you can just go through this figure and you'll get to know what does this mean. So I think many of you are familiar with the plugins, isn't it? So you might have used the one or the other plugins in order to work with the any of the programs in your day-to-day life. Have you installed any plugins? There might be a case that whenever you are downloading something, whenever you are trying to open some downloaded files, you'll not be allowed to do so. Why? Because you don't have any supporting softwares over there, or else you'll not be able to run any particular website or any particular program through the website within the browser over there. Why? Because you do not have the supporting softwares. In that, you might require some plugins to be attached to your browsers, so that you can efficiently run the websites or run some programs within over there. Is that so? Have you experienced this? See, these are the things which I'm not discussing entirely new to you. You might have used it one or the other time whenever you are interacting in the browser. Is that so? Whether you have experienced or not, just tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right. So the same thing has been given over here. See, the best example is that whenever you are trying to run a video, or whenever you have downloaded the video, or whenever you are running the video through the website, suppose if you do not have the proper platform to run that video, you will be asked either to install the plugin, either to download the supporting software over there. Isn't that? So that is what is given over here. So whenever you have any JavaScript to be executed, suppose if you do not have the supporting platform to execute a particular file over this, in that case either you will be asked to run the plugins, or either you will be asked to download or attach the applets over there. Okay, so in that case what the interaction is being carried out here is given in this figure. You can see the first thing is you are going to request for the vacation page, right? So one of the HTML page, right? So not only the vacation here, so just an example, they have taken it here as a vacation.html. Right. So as a response, you are going to get the HTML page back to your browser. Right. So as a third thing, you can see here, once you have been given within that HTML page, suppose there is a one file which you cannot open it. Right. So that the name of the file is game.swf, which again you are going to request it from the server, and in turn the server is going to give it to you back with the step 4 over here. Right. So once that file has been given here, you can see the extension over here of this file as a SWF. So which this file, you might not be in a position that you cannot open this file through your system over there. So in that case, what the browser is going to do, the browser is going to delegate the handling of this file through the plugin. It is going to give you the suggestion. The browser is going to give you this suggestion regarding that this plugin is required in order to run this program over here. So for it, you might be installing, or you might be attaching that plugin to the browser in order to execute this file. So this is the one way how the JavaScript or the browser is going to help you for the running the files for which you do not have the support through your browser, right? So similarly, what is the Java applets? So does anyone of you have used the Java applets? These Java applets are written as a part of the HTML through the applet tag. So can anyone tell me what is the Java applets? Especially those who have already worked here. Can anyone tell me what is the Java applets?
They are the small programs embedded in HTML.
Why do they are required?
Hmm. To automate some part of the HTML page, ma'am, which run automatically when the pages are viewed.
It is going to run automatically. Any other answer? Any other answer? Does anyone of you else know why the applets are required? Okay. See, just now we have discussed what is a plugin over there, right? So in the same way, the along with the plugin, it is also going to give you the some applets can be installed, or some applet of code can be included as a part of the HTML in order to support the Java runtime environment over there. So what is this Java runtime environment? Can anyone tell me? You have already studied Java and the advanced Java as well, isn't it? You are going through the advanced Java this semester, right? So can anyone tell me what is the Java runtime environment? Okay. So, so let us consider the same example over here where you are requesting for the one HTML page, and in turn you have been given the HTML page as a response over there, right? So within that HTML page, suppose if you have a JavaScript embedded within that page, so probably you should be able to execute some classes within that web page over there, right? So I hope you know what are the classes. Suppose if you might have written the many classes within the JavaScript which needs to be executed in order to get executed to that HTML page. So in that case, suppose if your browser is not having, or if your system is not having the Java enabled, JavaScript enabled, so in that case what the browser is going to do over there, the browser is going to handle this case to the plugin, where the plugin is going to pass that information, or it is going to ask the browser to get into the JRE, that is the Java runtime environment, which is done with the help of the applet that you might have included in the HTML. So it is going to give a platform where the browser will be able to execute the class within that Java runtime environment with the help of the applet that you might have included in the HTML document. Okay. So these are just a few explanation, theoretical explanation, that how best you can write the JavaScript as a part of the HTML to make the execution of the few part from the HTML at the client side itself. Okay. So this is the another example over here, just to tell you that how actual the HTTP request and response loop carried out between the server and the browser here. Okay, so it is not for with respect to the client side scripting. It is a general explanation to tell you that how the HTTP request and response carried out between the user and the server. Okay, so which is very simple over here. So I'll just quickly go through the steps. You just concentrate on the figure over here. Okay, so as a first part, you are requesting for some PHP file here. You can see here. So once you are requesting from the file from the server, you are going to get that file on the system, on the user system, as a part of the second request here, as a part of the second step over here. You can see here the requested page is returned back, which contains the some fields to be filled by the user here. So as a third part, you can see here the data has been filled by the user, and user is going to click on the one of the button as a update. So as soon as the user clicks on some button, the response has to be sent back to the server. So whatever the data that has been being filled, it has to be sent back to the server. You can see here as a step 4, you can see how the query string has been constructed here, just to tell the what data has been selected by the user here. So it is going to send back to the server, and then once the server is going to process the data, it is going to send back to the server along with the data that is being filled in the form over there. So you can see here the data that has been selected by the user has been updated by the server, and this will be again sent back to the server. Sorry, it will be sent back to the browser, to the user, where the user is going to fill the further details here. That is, the user is going to continue with the further filling of the data over here. So this is just to tell you the how the general interaction carries out between the HTTP request and the response between the browser and the server here. Okay. So here to this request loop, so you just see how actually it carried out, or what the browser is going to do here. Okay. So you can see here as a first request to the server, it is sending you the HTML page or the PHP file to send the data. So until it receives the response from the server, the browser is going to be set blank before it receives the response. Okay, so as soon as it receives the response, you can see here it is going to be given, it is going to be given with the page that is being sent by the user on the screen over here. Okay, so up to till it receives the any data from the server, it is at the back end, it is going to set idle here. Okay, see, these things you might not experience when you are using it in the internet, but at the back end, it is going to be experienced with a few fraction of the seconds over there. Okay, so it is going to keep it as a blank before it gets any response from the user. Okay, so as soon as it gets response, it is going to be sent on the screen to the user, and the user is going to, you can say as a step, the render just received HTML in the browser window, and then the user is going to fill the data, and he is going to send back it to the server. And as soon as the user is going to click on any one of the interaction button over here, it is being sent to the server, but until it receives again the next response, again it is going to remain idle over here. Okay, so once it gets any response back from the server, again the window is going to be given with the response sent by the server here. So you can see here at the two time, whenever any interaction happens between the browser and the server, till it gets any responses from the server, the browser is going to remain idle over here. Okay, so this can be overridden by using the JavaScript with the AJAX. So this is the figure to tell that the how the interaction actually carries if you have written a code where you are, every time you are going to send the data back to the server, and you are going to wait the response to be received from the server over here. Okay, so in this case you need to wait, or sometimes you need to make the browser to be idle till you receive the any response from the server. And so this can be avoided by using the JavaScript. So that's why we said that in some of the cases where you are able to perform some operations at the client side itself, you are going to use the Java over there. Okay, so which is termed as the AJAX. So what is AJAX means here? Asynchronous JavaScript and the XML. So why it is termed as a asynchronous? We'll again see here. Okay, so through this figure, you'll get to know why it is termed as the asynchronous data requests here. Okay, so the same case where you are requesting for the some pages from the server, until you receive the response, again you can see here only at this period of time the browser might be idle till you get the response, and once you get the response, it is going to be rendered on the page over here, and the user is going to fill the data, and he is going to click one of the responsive button over here, and via JavaScript the browser makes the asynchronous request for the data. So without making the browser to be idle, it is going to make the asynchronous request for the data, and within that turn the browser returns the XML or the JSON of the some type of the data back to the browser before waiting for the some other time over there. So within meantime you will be able to see the JavaScript. Via JavaScript the browser dynamically updates the window to change the label and populate the list with the provinces of the Canada, right? So before it receives the any data from the server, it might have executed some JavaScript side program which you might have written, and in turn it is going to update the file within there itself before getting the any data from the server side. So with this, the user or the browser is not going to experience the any delay in the response. Instead, it is going to avoid the idle page that is being rendered because of the response that needs to be waited from the server as done in this. So this way it is said to be as a synchronous loop, whereas it is said to be as the asynchronous, where the browser need not have to be waited for the response that is going to be received from the server. Instead, it is going to just execute the JavaScript just to make some updation, the minor updations in the file, where it is reflected back within a very lesser time amount of time in the web page over here. Okay, so this is how the synchronous and the asynchronous data request is carried out just because of the introduction of the JavaScript in your HTML pages over there. That's now what kind of the question might be asked in your examination is explain the either you might be asked like explain the HTTP request response loop with an example. So example in the sense this figure. So do not necessarily to hide this figure, just so you remember the steps, different steps that are being used here. So where you can use the any example of your choice, and the figure need not to be exactly the same. You need not have to practice these figures. You have to just remember that how does the request and the response carries out between the server and the browser here, right? So in the same case you might be asked explain the asynchronous data request, right? So this is the one type of the question that might be asked. The other way is differentiate between the synchronous and the asynchronous data request with respect to the JavaScript. So in that case, you have to explain these two figures together. Okay. So coming to the JavaScript design principles here. Okay. So what is the design principle? In the sense, in general, they are going to tell you that how best you can adopt the principle so that you can get with the efficient JavaScript designing here. Okay. So for that, what has been suggested here is, since the Java itself is object oriented, so you need to divide the different layers of the designing here. So different layers of the designing, in the sense you can go for the presentation layer, you can go for the business layer and the data layer. See, one thing I want to ask you, the question here is, you have studied the two subjects in the previous semesters. The one is the software engineering and another one is the computer networks. Is that so? I hope you have gone through the CN as well as the AC. Is that so? Have you studied the software engineering subject or not? Only for this class, bear me with these theoretical concepts. From the next class onwards, we are going to directly start with the programming of this JavaScript. So only for this class, we are discussing this theory part of this chapter here. Okay. So just tell me, have you studied the software engineering subject? Of course you have
Yes, ma'am.
studied, right? So within that, I hope you have studied the layered architecture. Is that so? You people are there? I hope you are there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is meant by these layers over here? So what has been suggested you for to follow the designing principle here is, whatever the project that you are going to work, you just make sure that you divide your entire project with the different layers here. Like, so the modules which you are going to be included as a presentation layer, and the modules which you are going to included here as a business layer, and some of the modules which you might include it in a data layer, right? So this is the suggested way. It is not like that mandatorily you need to work in this way itself. So if you follow this way, it would be better for the programmer to understand what they have coded, and whenever it is required for enhancing your project, or whenever you require to modify something, you can directly jump into the different layers over here. Okay, so you can see here what does this presentation layer includes. So the presentation layer includes the modules or the part of the project which is going to be used for the user interface. The one which is used for the user interface, the examples for this are the HTML pages. So the content or else even the forms that you are going to make it view on the screen for the user interface. So the everything which is going to be meant for the user interface, that you can include it as a presentation layer. And the another one is the business layer, is the one where you are directly going to deal the part of the code which is going to deal with the customers, products, and the sales, right? So suppose if you have a web page where you are interested to deal with the customers, where you are going to write a code which is going to be working with the customers, or which is going to handle with the products. For example, if the website is of the commercial type, in that website if we have the products part of the code where you are going to handle the information regarding the products and the sales. So in that case you have to make it as a business layer. You are not going to explicitly write as a business layer. Instead, in the coding part itself, you are going to make category of these things, so that whenever you have the some enhancement to be done only to that part, you can directly jump to that part for modifying your code. So the last one here is the data layer, which is the most important part of the any kind of the project, not only with the one or the other project, any kind of the project, because almost all the project is going to handle the some or the other data, in which you are going to work on the data that is being collected, or the data that you are going to take into the databases, so that you can include it into this data layer here. Okay, so these are the few things that you need to take care whenever you start coding on the JavaScript. Okay, so rest of the things will continue in the next class, that is tomorrow's class. Okay. Does anyone have any doubts over here? Does anyone have any doubts over here? As I told you, only